I think we're live. All right, everybody, hello there. We are on another edition of the Jeff Gross podcast. We have one of my very, very close friends, and I mean, there's just so much to say. So we're not even gonna do the intro. We're just gonna go right into it because we want to maximize time. But Mr. Jaime Staples over in the UK, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I mean, I learned when the show was coming out, and I was like, this is a natural fit. Like the Flow show hypes it up. This is the thing, right? So I'm excited to be on the show, excited to talk to you today, and let's have a good one.
Let's do it, man. So there's a lot of things we could talk about. There's a lot going on in the poker Twitch space, industry, content. We've done, just to give a little background, we've done a lot of things together, but we've done Stream House. That was just absolutely unbelievable in Montreal. We've done Streamboat 2 that got cut short. We've done some crazy weight bets that we've taken part in. There's been a lot of history that we've been a part of over the years, and Twitch, of course, a lot of synergies, a lot of cool stuff. But tell me something for those at home watching, Jamie. Tell me something that stands out for you over your, I guess, poker career, like one of the defining moments. We'll just jump right into it. I want to know something that, if you were to look back so far, what would you say is something that you've done that's just really stood out in your poker kind of, I guess, either career on the table or off the table, content-wise? What's something for you that's been a highlight of your career thus far? We're just going to jump ahead and then we'll backtrack to kind of give the history. But I just want to know, like, what stands out for you?
Well, I think when it comes to actual poker, this is funny given recent news, but the day that I signed with PokerStars, it would have been 4 years ago now. I had my stream up and running. Like, I had just started streaming 6 months ago. Signing with a poker company was like a pipe dream at that point for me. Like, I had no chance really before Twitch to even be considered as a small stakes player, like mid stakes player, taking shots. Wasn't very good. So in like 6 months' time, my life totally changed. And the day I got signed, I actually won the big 109 for the second time in a month. And it was like 20K back then because there was no knockouts or anything. And like everyone in the company at PokerStars was hearing about this news of this new signing. So like all the employees at PokerStars were in the chat. It was just like an amazing intro, and you couldn't have written a better story as to how I got started with that. So that, I think, was the craziest day of my poker life, I'd say. It was a big field back then, man.
You literally won the tournament the day you announced for 20K?
Yeah, and that was like the biggest tournament of the day back then too, right? Like big 109, there was no bounty builders. Like the big 215 was withered. Like that was the tournament. And I shipped it. I was like, wow, all right, we're doing this.
That's amazing. All right, well, man, I honestly, there's I have a list of things, of ways to go about it, but I guess I actually, we've spent so much time together. I would say we're so aligned. We have a very similar vision, I think, on poker and on the industry and the future of poker. But tell us a little bit, and because I don't know the full history, and I'm very interested how you kind of got into it. Like, what was, when you first started playing, how long were you playing poker online before you got into Twitch, and how did that spark where you said, you know what, I'm going to start streaming, and how did you, like, take me back to like the very, very beginning. How long were you playing online before you started on Twitch, and then how did you get into Twitch?
Yeah, so I started playing when I was 18, and I kind of realized I wanted to be a professional golfer as a young person. So I was spending all my time on that. And then when I turned 18, I sort of realized I wasn't going to be Tiger Woods, which was soul crushing. So partied a lot after high school, was hanging out, and then I found this poker thing, and I started playing a little bit. Actually, my brother Matt and I used to compete with play chips on Zynga Poker to see who would have more play chips on the app, because all your Facebook friends are on there. So that competition spurred me to like get better, look into real money sites, and then it kind of just kicked off from there. I ended up getting 5th place in a $3 rebuy on PokerStars, which used to be huge back in the day, for $2,700. And my 18-year-old brain was like, yep, okay, I'm a poker pro now. Quit my job, told all my friends. I was like, guys, I play poker for a living. It's not a big deal, but it's a thing. And just so cocky and arrogant, and like had no idea what I was doing. And yeah, that was my launch into poker when I was 18. I ran that down over the next few months, living at home to about $20 and about $30 in my bank account. But it was like the pure stubbornness of not wanting to tell all of my friends that I failed and have to get a job and like tell my parents that I failed, that I spun that $20 up to where I am today. So never made another deposit, and we kind of went from there.
Are you really one of those one-time deposit guys? Because I think I'm like I have a couple. I think I did a couple 25s, but I those ones that are like always one off to the moon they're hard to believe, but I know it happens. I mean, that's amazing. So that's really, you got on there and you never look back. I mean, if you really think about it with poker, and you can talk, I mean, for all the people that do that, there's obviously a lot that don't, but it's pretty incredible if you think about parlaying something into a career from, essentially like the times where you go on downswings or lose or things happen, but to really start with a small amount of money and turn it into a career is pretty amazing. So I mean, that was how old were you? You said you were eight?
I was 18. 18. Yeah.
And you're 26 now?
27, I think. Yeah,
somewhere in there. It's hard. It's hard to keep track of months, days with poker. It really is. It all blends together. But okay, so been playing about 8 years, and that's where it got going. So that's where you got in, and then talk about the transition into Twitch.
Yeah, so I was playing on the side, like playing some live poker, which really funded a lot of living at home and going to school on the side, like just taking a few courses here and there. And then I kind of decided that I wanted to pursue it full time. It was something I always knew I wanted to do. I was okay, I'd like probably make $20K a year or something. But I wanted to really go for it. So I decided to drop out of school. And then about a week and a half later, I saw a post on the 2+2 forums about Twitch poker. Scott Ball actually made that post, who used to work with Twitch in the poker directory. Okay. And I was like, wow, okay, this is cool. Like maybe I could stream and make a little extra money on the side from people that watch and get me motivated to play. And so I was like, all right, I'll try this out. And then within a week, I was just like, this is going to change the game forever in poker. Like this is the perfect spot. And it really just went from there. So.
Well, I'm looking here. I don't know if you can see it. It's on the side, but so I'm hot-keying over to show a little bit of the socials. I mean, so it's also pretty unique. You have your Poker Staples YouTube channel, but you also have Jaime Staples, and then you also have, for the same with Twitter, you have multiple channels. You have the Poker Staples and now Poker Staples 24/7. 120,000 followers on Twitch is just pretty insane. I mean, it's up there with the top channels, and I mean, just seeing it, like looking back now on how it's developed, like it's got to feel good to see, just kind of have an idea and just go for it, like, because you were one of the originals. I mean, it's safe to say, there was Jason Somerville, and then really who was, I mean, you were probably you were right behind, right? It was Jason, and then you. How when you actually clicked live, do you remember those first days of clicking live? Like how did that go? Like when you clicked on and you had a couple viewers on, 1, 2, 3 for a while, and Jason was already probably fairly established, already running. Like, was there literally no one else on streaming, or was there like a couple other guys, or like who was at the time like a couple of the bigger guys, or was it literally just Jason was the only one on poker?
There was a few guys. I mean, they were all really small channels. So Jason already had a brand, right? Like people knew him from the poker space. He was a successful high stakes pro. So he was sort of off and launched. I remember his first stream where he got front page on Twitch and he got up to like 1,500 viewers. And I remember like 2+2 and everyone was just like, whoa, what's going on? Like, this is crazy. This amount of people seeing poker. Whereas now we see Lex every day, throwing out like 6 to 20K flexes. Like it's not a big deal, right? So it was kind of that time. There's a few smaller channels, like Antigone is someone that comes to mind. Set Over Set. Avoid My Rage was a guy that streamed for a while.
Wow, I've never heard of any of these names.
Yeah, Air Draken, who's a pro poker player, but he used to stream quite a bit, had a big channel. Sticky Rice, like it was that time of the world. So it was crazy. And I actually have a video of my first stream. So I see the moment that people come into my chat for the first time, which is so bizarre to look at. Like it's nothing to someone that hasn't lived it, but to me, I was like, that's the moment that the trajectory of my life changed forever. Like that's it right there. It's just a crazy thing, man. I still can't believe it. I got to pinch myself that I do this, but it's true.
Yeah, that I'm just I remember, I know my first kind of big stream that like really clicked, you know, same thing. We sort of like felt like, wow, this is something, or it's cool, because it's kind of like a DJ in a way, right? Like you kind like there's just something about it, because there's like, in theory, if you have 10 viewers or 10,000, it doesn't really you know, it doesn't really change, right? But like you can feel it when the stream, when you get deeper in the stuff and you start catching some hosts and you get some momentum, you can really feel the energy, and it's an electric experience. So I love Twitch. It's just, you know, I believe that it is the future, and it's just like, it's really cool to see now with, you know, some of these sites that there was really only one platform, and now, or not platform, one, you know, site, like obviously Stars, you and I both had long stints there. It's so good for the industry seeing competition. You know, I think that's something that a lot of people are in the chat right now, and people are going to ask about, like, oh, why leaving Stars? Why are we all leaving Stars? But I think it's more about, it's not necessarily like why leaving Stars. I think it's more about what opportunities are out there, and it's just like, I think it's so good for poker and for streamers and for the whole ecology. Like, it's not even necessarily so bad for Stars, because I think it's like the same thing when you saw the 25K PSPC, and then you see PartyPoker doing these crazy live events, and then you saw them do the 20 million online. So like, when the envelope keeps getting pushed from the megas, the biggest sites, like, everyone wins. The players benefit. There's more competition. Everyone's on their toes. So now I look at it as a positive that there's some competition. Also, if you think about guys like your brother Matt Staples, all in Pav, who didn't have deals, that as a streamer, it's sort of like, if you're an up and coming streamer starting out like you or me, like when we started, at some point, it's kind of hard to take that plunge if you're like, wow, like, well, Matt doesn't have a deal, or Pav doesn't have a deal, or Patrick doesn't have a deal, or DW Steve. It's like, what are you aiming for? So now that the second biggest site, you know, PartyPoker comes in, they want to build a whole big team. You have room now at Stars for more people to come in. You know, 888, if they want to stay relevant, have to sign people. All of a sudden, there's like a huge gap, a huge void, that now there's room. And they're sort of, it's like an ecology of, I think it's just good for everyone. So I think it's like, instead of focusing, people say, what's wrong here? Why are people leaving? I think it's important to realize that it's good for poker. It's good for competition. It's good for everyone, from the streamers to the grinders to the fun players. You know, I think it's just great for everyone. How do you feel about, you know, this kind of landscape and what's happening right now with that? And obviously you being a vocal instrument part, me and you both kind of being in that mix of some change right now in the industry. How would you sort of talk on that? Because I know that's a question that people are going to ask a lot. Like, why are you leaving? Why are we leaving? So how would you sort of touch on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a crazy experience, right? Like you mentioned, PokerStars has been, you know, one of the, I mean, I want to say the only player in the space, but in terms of like sinking significant resources and dollars into Twitch, they were kind of like the biggest, right? Unibet was doing some cool things. Party was doing things here and there. 888 had Tonka sign and stuff. But PokerStars, it was like a big project for them, and it was like a situation where they had a stranglehold on Twitch. You know, the hosting and the big personalities. So that was pretty crazy, and it all just kind of changed overnight, like you said, right? Like an opportunity came up out of the blue. You know, in the Bahamas. When I went to the Bahamas, I didn't think, you know, there's less than 5% chance that I was going anywhere. But then an opportunity came up, and I was like, wow, this is really exciting. You know, like, instead of it just being one company sort of running things, there's a hungry second place that wants to do really good things. And it's just like, well, that's a pretty cool opportunity for me, right? And then also it's like, it's a spot where I think it's an opportunity for us, Jeff, to sort of reach out and go further than perhaps what opportunities we had before, where we were one amongst a team. You know, like, Lex is so much bigger than us, right? You know, Spraggy and Finton are absolutely crushing. Here, over on another side, we have opportunities to like really make big strides and make big difference in a team. So that's really what happened from my side, and how this all came about. It wasn't a thing where I was like unhappy with PokerStars or you know, knew I was leaving before. It was just a better opportunity for myself personally. And I've had some conversations with PokerStars since, right? Like, of course, we're in constant communication until our deal finished. and with the announcement. And it's like they echo your sentiment, right? Like I'm sure if you asked the board holders, are they happy that this is happening? Probably not, right? But the employees, are they happy? Of course. Everyone wants competition, right? Everyone wants to see, companies push the industry forward and create more opportunities for content creators, create more entertainment for poker players, and so it's a good thing for the industry and for pretty much everyone. So I'm excited to see how it develops.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to give a couple shout outs to Brian Glick in the chat, man. Good to see you, brother. Good to see we got Vadrian, of course, some other guys. If you have questions, ask them. There is a $20 retweet. We gotta have a little something. We can't. It's not right if we're just not giving something away. So we got that. You can ask a question for Jamie. Also on Instagram, swipe up, guys. Check that out. And our friend Elise Schleiser from the basement of Airbnb. I know Jamie's spent a fair time in Airbnbs. I've been in as well, traveling around. So good company and good to hear that you're enjoying from there. So we do have Jamie here. There's so much to talk about. Again, the poker stars and the party poker things. I think that Jamie's gave a good sort of a touch on what that's like. And again, I think it is a positive just for everybody in the industry. And I think that this is a unique time. And I think truthfully, in 5 years, 3 years, 10 years, those time frames looking back, this will be a big moment in poker. I don't want to overhype what's going on, but the truth of the matter is this is very good that there is going to be a major player competition now, and it's not just on autopilot.
Someone bought in, right? Like someone believed in the dream. It's not just PokerStars now that believes in the platform and the ability to get it out. It's like we have another company that believes, and that's so exciting for content creators and fans of poker.
Absolutely, exactly. So Jamie, tell me a little bit about. So you start playing poker, you hit a score, you get going, you get on Twitch. How did you start the YouTube vlogging? Because I have to give you credit here for this. I remember in Montreal, I'm a little bit of a different, a little bit of a hybrid. I have a background in live poker. I got into Twitch, so I kind of do a little of everything. But I missed the boat. I was missing the boat on the vlogging, and I remember in Montreal very vividly where it was around. We did the 1 week stream 24/7, which was, you were a true sport. You were letting people wake up for $100 donations or more. I think we raised over $20,000 for the Michael Phelps swim foundation, and a lot of that was due to you being able to be woken up at any time, and it was pretty intense there. But I remember after it was over and I was heading out, you mentioning about, or the vlogging, I started asking about it, and you started showing me, we started talking. I hadn't started a YouTube channel, so this must have been 2016 in November?
Yeah.
Is that right? 2016 probably. So yeah, so that's a couple of years ago. But so you told me about it. So how did you actually, what got you, was there a specific person or specific moment, or what made you say, you know what, I'm going to start vlogging as well? So how long did that come after you started on Twitch?
So I had to learn a lot on Twitch, as I'm sure you did as well, when I first got into it, because I didn't know what I was doing, right? I'm not a content creator by trade. I was a poker pro. That was it. So I had to figure out how to make interesting content. And one of the first people that I stumbled upon that really sort of shifted my thinking and my approach to being an ambassador was Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm sure you're familiar. And he made a really good point that resonated with me, which is, there's eyeballs out there, right? If you want to get your stuff seen, there's eyeballs out there. But there's some people that are going to be on YouTube and they're never going to come to Twitch. They're just YouTube people. There's people on Facebook that are only going to be on Facebook. So it's your job to get them content. If you're not doing that, you're failing, right? You can't expect the eyeballs to come to you. You need to bring the content to the eyeballs and give it to them for free. So when I learned that, I was like, okay, well, it's a big risk to just be on Twitch. What if Twitch goes under? What if something happens with regulation where I can't stream on Twitch? Am I just completely out of a job and irrelevant at that point? No, I need to develop a Twitter and a Facebook and a YouTube poker and a YouTube vlog, work in some lifestyle stuff so that there's options, there's flexibility. So that was really the thinking behind doing it, is that, we make 8 hours of content on Twitch a day, right? 8 hours, this behemoth thing. We should be able to take that and package it in different ways and get it out to people on other parts of the internet. It just takes a little bit of money and people to help you do that. So that was really the reason that I got started with YouTube, and it's gone from there.
And so do you feel, in terms of Twitch versus YouTube? What is there one of you? What do you enjoy more, or what are some of the differences? I mean, obviously, the vlogging. It's a lot of so you have two YouTube channels. One is Jaime Staples and one is Poker Staples. One is sort of like the live or just sort of lifestyle traveling or live events. Then you have the highlight channel. So I guess it's a little different. But like in terms of actually like would you say what do you enjoy more in terms of produce? Like, because I mean, it's not just a 10 or 20 minute video that goes up on the vlog. There's a lot of filming with it. There's edits, which you have people helping with that. But when you see like let's just call it a good show on Twitch, like after 8 or 10 hour day, what would you say? Do you enjoy like a vlog more? Like, do you get more excited for streaming on Twitch or the creation of a vlog? Like a really, let's just say a cool, like going to Barcelona or, a live stop or, like, do you enjoy vlogging and filming that process more? Or would you say you like the Twitch more? How would you compare them?
I think it's really hard because it comes down to time, like there's not enough time to make all this stuff. So it's, I think Twitch is Twitch is home base always. It always has been. It's where my community is. So I really enjoy doing that. But it also gets to be a grind if you put in 3 months in a row of 5 days, 40 hours live weeks. That's intense. So I guess the real answer is like I like a variety. I like sometimes being able to delve into lifestyle. And then sometimes I like to just get down to grinding and stream on Twitch. The poker channel on YouTube, Poker Staples, really, I get to outsource most of that work. So it's like, it doesn't take much for me. I just have to employ an editor to sort of edit the streams into bite-sized pieces. So it's really vlogging and streaming that takes the time. And I like a mix of both.
Okay. So yeah, that's how I feel as well. There is definitely, I'm looking here, we're over on the side, the Jaime Staples, videos. Like for me, I don't know if you feel the same way, but it's very cool to be able to go back and look at it's sort of like a fancy journal in a way is these vlogs, right? Because it's like in 5 years, 10 years, who knows what you'll be doing exactly, which we'll want to touch on. But to be able to go back and like have these videos in time, like you remember where you were, what you were doing, who you were with, it's actually really cool. And I think that's something that we've done some projects with platinum passes and giveaways, and when it's like I think it's cool to see people sort of get that and sort of dive in, because it's I would say the hardest thing is just starting, because that's like awkward. You get a camera, you film yourself, like how do you do it, how do you edit it, how do you have help with it, and just seeing that, like, would you say that was the biggest over the hurdle to kind of get started and worrying about being too good, perfect, or was that not an issue for you to just sort of dive in and go for it?
Yeah, it wasn't an issue for me. It comes naturally to try. But it is probably the biggest piece of feedback I get is people saying like, oh, I'm going to get my Twitch stream together. Like, think I'm going to go live this Sunday, and they give constant updates about like getting ready to do the thing. And that's just like, it's not the best approach, I don't think. Right. So, something I take heat for, actually, this is a good example, is I made a PokerStars chest video. Did you see that? Like the chest, right?
I know they got chest. People are outraged about chest overall as a whole, so I could see where this is going. So what happened?
So I made a video on it, right? Like I saved up all my chests, which people don't love, obviously.
Right.
I saved them up because I knew on YouTube there's like CSGO openings and FIFA pack openings and stuff were really popular, right? So my first impression when these come out is like, maybe this will be like this. So instead of like trying to strategize and thinking about, I just tried it, right? So I saved it up. I made this chess video. Obviously there's only money in the chess, so it's not very interesting to a poker player, and it didn't work out. But that's my first reaction, is to try when there's an idea that comes up or something new. Start with that and then adjust over time. I think that's the way to do it if you want to stay like fast and nimble and on the cutting edge of content. Like, I just joined TikTok the other day. You on the TikTok, Jeff?
This is probably gonna be one of those scenarios where you bring me in on something. I'm out on. I don't even know what that means. I know what TikTok references, but tell us, what is it?
It's just like it's a social media that's a lot younger. It's like how it always evolves. Facebook was cool and not cool. Instagram was cool, and now it's like at a much bigger scale. Snapchat, well, it's a different case. But TikTok, I think, is like a younger generation. There is some young people on there, but then there's a lot of like 18 to 22-year-olds.
Speaking of Snapchat, let me get a little shout out while I do a video. I forgot to put that up. Jamie, how do you feel about Snapchat?
All right. What's up, Snapchat? How's it going? Good
All
to
right,
see you.
there it
Um,
is. There it is.
so yeah, I think TikTok has potential to be the next big thing, and like, you just gotta try, dude. You gotta see new things and try them. And if they fail, it doesn't matter because you're just taking a lot of shots. So
Um,
that's what I think about
I'm
it.
literally doing it. This is good. I forget. Snapchat. Kevin got me on at the same time. I got on YouTube vlogging and Snapchat in Montreal Streamhouse. Kevin was kind of hyping me on Snapchat. I mean, obviously that was it's sort of dying. Do you even use the platform at all? Do you post anything on there? Or you're
No,
literally just you're zero Snapchat.
I'm just on the IG. Yeah,
Yeah, all right.
yeah.
It's there's only so much time. There's only so much social to do, but we'll still throw a Snapchat bone here and there. We're gonna go ahead and post that. But tell me what you. I want to know about family in poker because this to me has always been fascinating. And I have a decent idea, but I want to let you kind of talk about it because obviously it's super big in your family with Matt. You know, Matty Ice, 22 years old, young, and just soaring, and having your parents, seeing both of two of their sons. You have and Chris as well, who's got does some vlogging involved. But how has that been for your family? I mean, now at this point, you guys obviously being established, been in the industry, getting deals. You're both making moves and aligning. It's been a big time for Ice. Can't wait to have him on the podcast eventually as well. But talk to me a little bit about the family and how they feel about the Staple brother duo in poker. I mean, it's got to be interesting now, but tell me how that experience was from start to current.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy journey for them. My parents, they're both retired now, but my dad is a musician. He was a prof at Lethbridge University, and then my mom was a music teacher in high school, like band and choir and stuff. So, both being teachers, I don't think this was their first thought when raising us that this is what we were gonna do. But they're very supportive now, very happy for us. Like they're always watching our streams. My mom is always up to date on social media. Like she's letting me know what's happening in the poker world when we talk on the phone, you know? Um, so when we got started, I mean, my parents were like, what are you doing? You know, like obviously I'm living in my parents' house and I'm quitting my job and living in my parents' house with like $1,500 to my name. Of course they should be like that. Like what is your plan? What have we done? Right. But I think over time, as results started to pile in and I showcased that I could support myself through playing poker, they became a bit more supportive. Um, and then like mainstream recognition in the poker world, like getting signed and stuff, that's a big deal to like normal people. When they see that, they're just like, oh, okay, so it's legit then. So it's kind of a slow shift over time to them being a lot more accepting. And now they're some of our biggest fans, I think, Matt and mine. So that's a really good feeling. But parents are risk averse and results oriented, which I'm sure you know, Jeff, right? Like they want to see the results before they can get on board, and they don't want their offspring to take any risks because the fear of them getting hurt is too much. They
Yeah.
want them to take the well-worn path, right?
It's
So
true. We got Burns in the chat. We got Hot at 89. Also, team Party Poker in the building. So we got some heat coming in here right now. We have Jaime Staples on, of course. Also goes by the alias Poker Staples, one of the OGs on Twitch. And we're tackling it all. But I would say it's nice, man, to have. It's got to be cool to see. Also for you, it's kind of like I would imagine a fatherly or brotherly figure too. It's the same thing. Like you want to take risks, but when your brother's like, oh, I'm gonna become a poker pro, I'm gonna grow. Like it's a tough battle, tough grind. Even until he's young, very young. But until recently, even didn't have a deal. It was kind of obvious he was going to get swooped up at some point here. But how did you feel as a brother seeing Matt sort of follow in your footsteps? Did you feel a little bit of pressure, or were you like, he's young enough, he's hungry enough, he's a sharp guy, he's going to figure it out? But it's got to be a little bit of interesting dynamic when you get a deal, you're signed, he's young, grinding, playing the micros, and obviously it could go a couple different ways. So how did you feel? Did you feel pressure? Did you know he was just going to crush it? Or were you just kind of like, whatever, you obviously you can relate more than probably your parents because it's, you live it, you breathe it, you own it. But like, how did you feel about Matt kind of coming up and wanting to do what you were doing?
Matt's story is amazing. Like, you should really get him on the pod, and I know you will soon, because it's been a crazy journey for him in a very condensed time period. So he actually started out as an assistant for me. He needed a job, and I was like, well, I just started this Twitch thing. and I'm like waking up at 8 and going to bed at 10, and I'm not leaving my desk. Like, can you help me? He's like, yeah, cool. So he just started helping me with like general assistant stuff. We moved to Calgary, and he started streaming a little bit on the side, like doing little bits of streams, playing a little bit of poker in his off time. And then one day in Calgary, he just told me like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to stream. And I was like, Matt, first of all, could you give me like a week notice? Second of all, I respect it. Like, good luck, man. No, I think like taking risks in life, and I'm biased because mine worked out, although I took a golf risk and it didn't work out. I think taking risks for young people like Matt, if you're passionate about something, is just always the right move, as opposed to having regrets later in life of not giving it a shot. It's a no risk thing for him, you know, like if it didn't work out for Matt, or if it didn't work out for me, just like go home and go to school and get started, you know, 4 years later in life. Like, big deal, right? So I was excited and optimistic for him from the beginning, and clearly he has got what it takes, where he's just crushing it in the poker streets, crushing it on the Twitch streets. We're going to be living together here very soon. I'm going to see him in 3 days. So he's done amazingly well, and I'm super proud of him.
Yeah, we're all proud of Ice. Jamie, I got you on Instagram Live as well. I had to do it. I had to throw it up. You want to give? Do we have any words? Do we have any words for IG?
IG Live?
Do you have any love for? I mean, how often are you giving IG Live? I know you get on there.
You know, honestly, I don't do the IG Live much. I do like Instagram a lot. I think it's a great place. I like all the people on Instagram. So thank you guys for checking this out. And yeah, maybe I need to give more consideration to the IG Live.
And IGTV coming up too. Jamie, where can they watch this podcast right now, since we're on Instagram Live? How would you tell people at Instagram Live? There's a lot of waves. There's actually a lot of people in the chat on IG Live and on the thing live. So where can they go over and watch this full broadcast, Jamie?
This is Jeff Gross Podcast channel on YouTube. So if you just search Jeff Gross Podcast, you can check it out. It's live now. So just pop over.
This is a double live inception. I'm actually confused what to do. I think I have to tell them to go and get off here and go there, right? That feels right.
I think so, Jeff. You're such a hype show. Like, you can't help it. But I think you need to focus in on the one show here.
All right. I got my Party Poker phone screen back case cover that came in the mail. So we got that on the big screen, guys. We got to go. We'll see you over there. If you want to ask Jamie a question, there's a swipe up, and there is a Twitter giveaway and question there. So fire them off, guys. We'll see you. I got to cut off this. I'm sneak attacking Jamie on Snapchat and Instagram Live. We're hitting him on every platform. He's giving personal shout outs today. So we gotta catch him while he's firing off. So Jamie, I'm gonna cut this off, but just so you know, Instagram Live knows what's up now.
Okay.
You good with that?
That's good to know.
All right, he's good with that. All right, guys, we'll see you over. Come check out the podcast. I see a lot of waves. We'll see you there. All right, man. We it's better than before. I think it's like the in game is kind of advanced. That's not. You don't see a lot of that, but I'm not sure if it's right or not. But we did it.
That's a Jeff Gross move.
Yeah,
that's a Jeff G move. You fire it up.
Multitasking. So Jamie, tell me, what do you feel about the state of poker? Because this is important. I want you to shoot us straight. You know, we both said our goodbyes to Poker Stars. You just announced Party Poker as well, that you'll be joining up here in May. You know, taking a little time just sort of to get it organized, get all your ducks in a row. You know, I've officially started with Party. So how do you feel, you know, with that this is big news for sure. It's good for the poker. It's good for online. How do you feel about the current state of poker and its future overall from just taking a look? Like, are you seeing where you were a few years ago? Are you feeling optimistic? Are you like things are humming? Is it a scary time? Do you feel poker? What state do you believe it's in at the current moment?
I think it's okay. I think it's so-so. I think there's some really positive things, and I think there's some clearly negative things. The game, of course, is still great. It's a fantastic game. It's a worthwhile pursuit and a nice hobby and a career for some. So I think that's awesome. But I think we need to do a lot of work as an industry to clean up the perception of poker. I think that's important and a difficult task to undertake. Twitch is doing a big part of that. You know, changing the way that people think about this game from a backroom, mobster cigar smoking thing to a more interesting pursuit than that. And then I think we need to come up with new and innovative ways to get it out to people. I say this all the time on my stream. Like, poker was the best game you could play on the internet 10 years ago. There's nothing better. Like, you load up your computer, poker was the best game. If you load up your computer today, I mean, it's easy for us to say because we play, but if you haven't played any games before in your life and you see poker and you see Fortnite or CSGO, like these graphically very beautiful, aggressive and fast games, which is going to draw the eye of most new people? Fortnite is, right? Of course, that just makes sense. So we have a lot of work to do in the poker industry to come up with ways to make poker as enticing as these new age games. And it's not going to be an easy battle. It's one step at a time. So I think innovations in poker are really good. I know a lot of people don't like these innovations, but they're probably not for those existing players. But like new game modes, spin and goes or spins, those are things that I think are really great to try and entice more people to play. New formats of creating poker content that might be boring to existing professionals. I think we need that to survive and continue to thrive as a game. So
I agree completely, and I think that I know that's in the works, and that for me it's as well. Poker's timeless, whether it's a 7-card stud, 5-card draw, then it became limit hold'em, then it was no limit hold'em, and then there's PLO, and now there's short deck, which we're seeing over at the Triton series. Some huge action and crazy, new format. I think it's one of those things where it's a great combination of skill and luck. Poker is, and finding new ways to make it fast, exciting, less solved. Because I think that's ultimately you hear backgammon, chess, these type of games with solvers and stuff. People want fast action. People want to go to Top Golf. They don't want to golf 18 holes anymore, really, right? Things are changing. People like quick, fast, fun, and I think that's important with Twitch, with YouTube, finding content, getting people engaged in it, but also finding other variations, other formats, 6-max, typers, turbos, the knockouts, finding ways where you add some variance, where it's not just all right, you're playing a 9-handed no limit hold'em regular tournament that's 2 days or 14 hours. People like quick, fast, fun variables. So I think that is important. And I think that's something that PartyPoker, I know, and other major sites are starting to take a look at. They're listening to players, they're listening to their pros, they're listening to the community, and they're making the adjustments. So I think it's kind of poker hit its peak, and then it's sort of gone down, and now I think it was sort of dropping. Now I can feel a shift in energy. I can feel that it's kind of coming back, and I think it's good, but I think it's important for content creators and for the ambassadors to sort of step up and take an active role, because we really feel what it's like, and we hear and we know what it's like. We know the feedback and the fact that the sites are listening. I think it's great. So I think it's up to us to really to help with that. So yeah, it's a great game, and I don't see. What about you personally? How many years do you have a kind of a plan? 3-year, 5-year, 10-year? I mean, do you have any visions with do you think you'll always be involved in poker in some capacity? Do you love it more or less the same than a few years ago? How's your overall feeling with poker right now, personally?
Yeah, it's my passion. I mean, it's absolutely my passion. It's not an obsession like it was when I first got into it, where with all my free time, all I'd want to do is play poker. Now after a full stream week, I'm excited to get some off time and relax a little bit and then go back to it. But, it's just a more matured love for the game, I think, than you feel in those first couple of years. I don't think it's necessarily a negative for falling out of love with the game. So that's sort of where I'm at on it right now. I think in general, Jeff, I wanted to touch on another point sort of related to our last question, which is the poker community, the industry feel as a whole. I think we need to do some growing there as well. That's just my thoughts on it. It's very fragmented into different sections and different areas. There's sort of Twitch, and then there's sort of poker gossip, and then there's the US live scene, and then there's the online tournament players, there's the online cash players. It's very fragmented, and something that I really think about a lot is what it was like to play golf and what the golf community was like, and what it's like to play poker and what the poker community is like. And it is so much more aggressive and toxic and difficult to get into and elitist in the way that it communicates with people than golf is even, you know. And most people think of golf as some like stuffy old man's game. So I don't know how to fix that, man, but that's something that really stands out to me. Is the poker community going to be sort of inclusive like a more mature sport, or is it going to be fleeting and aggressive like a game? And I don't know the answer to that, but I just don't think the community right now is a great place to be. I don't know how to fix it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with the celebrating some of the high stakes, some of the play, some how it's perceived from a kind of fun player, rec player's perspective. Like just when you show the high roller tournaments, it's so serious, so like tanking and these type of things. This is the stuff I've seen Negreanu talk about it, and it makes a lot of sense. You really want to try to the goal is to make it a fun, fast atmosphere where everyone's kind of gets to enjoy and feels comfortable. And I think that over the last few years, it's kind of just it's gotten a little too stoic, a little too less personality. Back in the day, 2004, 5, 16 on the World Series of Poker, guys celebrating in taste. You can celebrate, get excited, be respectful. You don't have to be like going to a guy's face and fist pump and like stand over him, do a cartwheel and vamo his face. But like there can be some personality, the characters, Umberto Brenis's, and the excitement and the passion. I think that that's important, and I think that that's something that we're at a crossroads where it needs to kind of come back. There needs to kind of be some of that, and there needs to be more of a the professionals need to kind of understand that and realize that it's just like life. It's like being positive on a daily basis. If you're interacting with people and you're net positive and you're being a good person, and that kind of energy carries over and goes a long way. And I think there's a bit of a cog, a bit of a plug in the industry right now where it's just not quite. It doesn't quite work. It's just not it's just not right, and it just takes. I think it's a matter of everyone being proactive and realizing that, and I think it can go a long way. But if you look at the numbers, like there's new live stops coming everywhere. Like the numbers are up at series online. Yeah. The numbers seem pretty good. I know there's talks about HUDs. Some of the major sites getting rid of some of the heads-up displays. The numbers that's been circulated, talked about. I think the sites are aware, and they're trying to find ways to make it more appealing and less intimidating for people to play, and more of a fair outlook on everything. So I think it's like. It's a crucial time in the industry for sure, and I think that we all can do our part. Whether you're a Twitch streamer, a content creator, if you're just playing to play, how you act at the tables, even typing or spamming or being nasty, like all the stuff that you can do on an individual level, I think it really matters, and I think that's something that you have to realize. People come on if they have a bad experience, whether it's online or live, you might turn someone away from the game. Like literally you have the ability, every person on an individual level has the ability to be net positive or negative for the game. And I think that's important to remember.
Yeah.
So,
I think something that an interesting metric to look at, and I think about it a lot, is merchandise, right? So if you look at really mature markets that are games or sports, right? So let's say like football, for example, or soccer, people wear merchandise all the time, and they love it. They're proud of it. They love to support their teams. They're into it. In golf, like you want to buy the newest, coolest stuff to play golf in, and not for a performance point of view, with like shirts and stuff, just because they're cool, right? And then if you look at some video games, there's a few video games where it's probably acceptable to wear merchandise for that video game, and then there's some where that would be really lame. In poker, for example, it's typically viewed as kind of lame to wear a site's shirt, or like a branded piece of poker clothing. It's uncool to the people that actually play the game. And that, to me, is just like a big problem, Like, if people aren't proud enough of the game that they play, or the sites that they play on, or the people that they follow on Twitch or YouTube to wear their stuff, like, there's an insecurity in that, and there's a lack of maturity in the industry to it be accepting of itself in a way. So yeah, I would love to see a future, 5, 10, 15 years down the road, where we have legitimate poker fans, not necessarily fans of streamers, although of course I'm biased and I love that, but people that just genuinely love the game and they're not afraid or insecure about sharing that with other people. Um, it's a shame. I think we've all done the bank teller thing. Like, what do you do for work? Oh, I work online, trying to avoid the conversation, right? I think that's really too bad that a lot of the industry like hides what we do instead of wears it with a badge of pride. So I think that's important for poker taking the next step.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I agree on that. And I think we definitely see a lot of eye to eye on these type of things. It's just a matter of how it's going to change and how much change can happen on it. How much can you personally do, and how much of the people that are in the industry how much they want to be a part of it, and how much like I think it's just fundamentally comes down to like everyone can have an impact, and you have to believe that. It's like doing a little bit can go a long way, and I just think that we need to get that message across that everyone can contribute. I want to talk about prop bets because this is something I've done a lot of prop betting over my career. We've been a part of a couple situations. So let's talk about prop bets, and let's talk about maybe those that aren't aware of the Ultimate Sweat. Pretty epic bet. Want to talk about that, plus any other maybe bets that you have or have done, or how your take is on prop bets, because this is definitely like I've been around. There's like a handful that stand out in that I've heard of or been a part of or seen, and this is definitely one of them. So why don't you talk to us about the Ultimate Sweat, just in case anyone out there hasn't heard of it or wasn't aware of the actual conditions, terms, the logistics on it. Can you touch on how that came up, where that came up, what the bet was, and how that has been impactful in your career?
Yeah, Ultimate Sweat. I mean, we were doing Streamboat 1, weren't we?
Yes.
We were hanging out on Bill's back porch in the Virgin Islands. What is life? This is crazy. This is an amazing project, having fun. And then I was quite a big guy at the time. I was 305 pounds. Matty Ice, my brother, was 135. And Bill made us a bet based off someone's suggestion in the Twitch chat.
I wish we knew who said that, because I remember that moment, but I don't know who actually. Do we know the name of the person? Because we owe them at least a nice steak dinner.
10 people have claimed it or so. There's a lot of people that have claimed it, so I don't know who exactly it was. But so yeah, he made us a bet to get within 1 pound of each other within a year. It had to be within 1 pound. So that was insane. We were 170 pounds apart, but he gave us 50 to 1 odds. So we risked 3,000 to win 150,000. And I remember the conversation because I was just thinking at 51 odds, I want to book whatever I can, like max. He said 3K was the max. I was like, all right. So we just got to work, man. Like we got started in Vienna. I was doing ketosis. Matt was just eating everything he could shove in his face, hitting the gym. And then we met up with Mike Vacanti, who sort of made us a more measured plan to take us all the way to the end. He's a YouTube trainer. You guys should check him out. He has trained Gary Vee in the past. Like really great guy. You've met Mike as well, Jeff. He's awesome.
Yes.
So we worked with him for the remainder of the rest of the year. We actually lived in 6 different cities during this year in 5 different countries, I think. So we're moving a lot. And yeah, for the most of the year, I was eating 1,300 calories and walking like 2 hours a day, sometimes up to 4 hours a day. And then Matt was just eating as many calories as he could and going to the gym 6 days a week. And we made it like in the last week. It was pretty much touchable for the last 9 days, but it took us the whole year of really intense effort to get to where we could actually get it done. And
it's pretty crazy because it had to actually weigh within 1 pound. It was a professional scale. Once you kind of got down to the nitty gritty, and it was like, all right, we're there, but like still very nerve wracking. I remember being there and making the official call, like with the weighing it in. Mike was looking at the scale and blowing the whistle in that whole moment, but it was very tense because if it was 1.1 on the scale, even with scale error, it's very, very unlikely. I mean, top notch scale, the whole thing, but it was still like it was very tense. Like the fact that you could literally not win on a technicality or a detail was super crazy, and it was very exciting. I know you got sick, right? Or Matt got sick a week before or 2 weeks before, was very sick and kind of threw things out of balance as well.
That was crazy. People don't know that story. So Matt is like definitely allergic to nuts. Like will go into a huge reaction. So he had a smoothie that he'd been having his whole time in Malta, but they accidentally put peanut butter in it. So he took a sip. Within like 3 minutes, he talked to my brother. He's like, I think I'm having an allergic reaction. So they hop in a taxi. They go to the hospital in Malta. And Rebecca and I were living in a flat like 5 minutes away at this point because there's a lot of us in Malta. So we catch a taxi, and when I get there, he looks like a lobster. He's all puffy. He is red from his forehead down to his toes, like just bright red, you know. Thankfully, his airway didn't close up, but he has a full-out reaction. And I recently just had a reaction, so I sort of have some empathy as to how scary of an experience that is. Like, you can't control it. It happens to you, and you're just hoping that your airway doesn't close up and you don't die, right? Like, that's terrifying. And the fear that comes from eating food after that is very strong. You know, it's just like every time you eat, you have anxiety about, am I having a reaction? Do I feel okay? Is this normal? So Matt was actually about 3 pounds. No, he was actually 2 pounds away from what our weigh-in was, like 2 weeks from the actual weigh-in. You know, and so essentially, like, he was at a point where he almost regressed for a little bit in the last 2 weeks, and I had to go extra hard. Like, I was eating about 700 calories a day, but it was just incredibly stressful. Like, the worst possible thing that could have happened at that point, 2 weeks out, is him having this, you know, life or death situation that creates an intense fear of food, you know. So that was crazy that happened. And
were you worried that you might not, like, did you think this could like actually throw it off? Because I mean, that's another crazy part, is like that could have happened the night before the weigh-in. You know, Bill's obviously very generous, merciful, but there was other people, there was side action on it, sites had lines on it. You know, like when you lay 50-1, I think it's fair to throw in some variable factors, right? Like, it's like, obviously the guy's dying or something, or he's in the hospital. Like, I don't know what happens, but like at some point, like, that's part of the risk, right? And you start thinking about that because, like, what, you know, yeah, it's super unlikely, but what if that happened 2 days before, 1 day before, the night of? Like, you know, it's just like, you got that night going to sleep is very intense, I'm sure. Because you're literally, that's like life-changing money, especially Matt, for basically getting, you know, on that size of a wager. He's also dedicated a lot of time, effort to it. And for Matt, it was even more. For you, it's great, right? You get to lose weight, get in great shape, or, you know, get healthy. For Matt, like, he was bulking and, you know, worked out obviously, but like, he, you know, it's a lot of commitment, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and very stressful. So I'm sure there was you know, I don't know how well you slept that night, but it was got to be pretty exciting. Like, that was a lot of hype for this, leading up to this full production event, weigh-in, and everything. That had to be, you know, it has to be a standout experience in your life. I mean, that was cool. Like, to be a part of it, and for me to be involved on the side and took some side action, had some fun with it. It was fun to watch, but being a part of it, living it, you know, it had to be annoying as well. Like you said, there was you spent a lot of time too traveling. You're streaming. I can't even imagine every day, right? You're doing Twitch. You're trying to win this bet. And it's got to be a little overwhelming. Was there a point ever where you thought maybe it wasn't worth it? Or, man, this is like crazier than I thought? Or was it just kind of like you set your mind to it and it is what it is? Like, looking back, would you have done things differently? Maybe travel a little less? I'm sure traveling is got to be extremely hard. You said you moved 5-6 locations during that time. It is tough to pack up your stuff, get set up, deal with everything, and then still be training and doing that. How was that?
Yeah, actually the travel was nice, dude. I didn't mind it because it's like, my diet was primarily protein, so I could just go to restaurants and eat like steak and chicken and pork and vegetables. So it actually made it kind of fun because it was changing environments, changing scenery for doing exercise outside, which is a lot of what I was doing. But honestly, if I could go back in time to the start of the bet, I wouldn't do it. Even as a winner, I wouldn't do it.
Wow, okay.
It was too intense. You know, and I've felt the effects of how much of a toll that took, like, on me physically and mentally.
Yeah.
Still deal with it. It was just such a sustained period of really intense cutting, to where the 75K doesn't make enough of a difference. And of course, like, professionally, we suffered in terms of, you know, you can't stream very well or very consistently when you have done 3.5 hours of walking and you have 600 calories in you. It's just like you can't do very well. So of course, both of us took hits in terms of our professional pursuits in poker to get it done. So, but like the physical and the emotional toll is very high. Like I wouldn't recommend anyone go through that much of a crash diet or the crash bulk. It's just not, it's not worth it. It's a huge toll. I do think it's the most impressive thing that I've been able to do, and I'm proud of it. But I've also learned that I've learned how intense it is on your body. So yeah, that's how I feel about it now.
Absolutely. I did want to ask you something in terms of poker, kind of mentors, people like who in the industry as a whole, who do you kind of look at as, obviously we're younger, comparatively, right? Poker's been around, I'd say like got really popular in the early 2000s, but is there anyone like you look up to, or who do you let in the industry do you really respect as a whole? It could be from our generation for older, like growing up to like on TV, did you watch some of this stuff? Like, is there people from those high stakes shows or tournaments or World Poker Tour, who do you kind of like look up to or respect within the poker industry?
Daniel Negreanu. Yeah, he's a big one for me. And, he's very divisive, I think, for a lot of people now, an outspoken guy. So I'll say, like, I don't agree with every stance he takes, but he's really the first, like, true poker ambassador. The guy that was interested in getting the game out to as many people as he could, and he would take all these opportunities on TVs and books and everything to really get the word out. So I don't think I would be a poker player if it wasn't for Daniel Negreanu. And I think he's dedicated the last, like 15 years or more, creating all of this content and getting people excited about playing a game. Of course, to his benefit as well. Like, he got rich off it as well, as he should. He worked hard. But I am really grateful that he's done that. So he's a big one. And then I think it's like you and Bill, like my friends that I hang out with, the people that are really optimistic about life and willing to try things and not too negative and pessimistic, the ones that are optimistic and excited about trying things and projects in life. Those are the people I really look up to and I want to surround myself with, because I think it's the best way to live.
Well, that's very nice of you to say. I would say also there's a mutual respect there. Obviously, you're, 27, 26 or 27, unconfirmed. You're still doing the math. But I would say that as well. I definitely one of the people I respect the most in the industry. And yeah, of course, Bill, kind of dips into poker. He's got the Thirst Lounge 10 project. We helped him sort of get down that list and help with that. But obviously, Bill is very generous and he comes in and out of poker. But I would agree also, Daniel, he's, those guys that he really just took a stand for poker and also what he believes in, doesn't mind being controversial or doing what's unpopular or says what's right. So that's awesome. I appreciate that, and also I agree with Daniel. And yeah, man, I think it's important to kind of realize that like that sort of generation. If you really look at it, like I guess you could say Negreanu, Hellmuth, Ivy, Antonio. I'd say those are kind of like for sure. Phil Locke, Brian Rass, like kind of like
guys.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, the boys, some of the pillars of the industry and sort of being that the characters or the personalities of TV and of the time. But I think now it's fair to say there is it's a different time now. Like the high roller circuit series and stuff, it's cool, right? Like some of the guys, and it's fun, and to see some people having great success and whatnot. But really, like I think it's just kind of like a new generation of Twitch and of YouTube and this type of content. Seeing guys that really put themselves out there and generate a lot of content. It's really cool. So I think it's fun to be in the conversation. I think no one would argue yourself. Me, and then of course like Lex and some of these. There's a handful of guys that are pretty active, and to be involved, even just to be mentioned in that conversation, is cool, and it's fun. And I think like it's fair to say yourself. I just knowing you, I would say that, and just even for what I like, really just saying going for it, doing the stuff because you enjoy it, you like it, and the content that it's sort of nice. It just kind of blossoms and goes around, because I think that's something that poker is missing right now, is that like 18, 19, 20, 21 year old window of people, and like what are they seeing now? It really is Twitch and YouTube, and that's something that, if you look at the WSOP numbers, I think we discussed this. It's crazy, like the amount of 21 to 25 year olds that played the World Series of Poker main event. It's insane how low it is, like proportionally, right? And that's like a stat. Like I think that like one of the issues of like what's going on is being in the U.S. not really legal, or there's some gray area sites, but the kids in college aren't like, it's more games. So it's like, how do we find, and how do you do it in a way where it's like, we're not saying, oh, become a professional poker player. This is like the dream, do it in a way where it's kind of fun. It's a hobby. People are still involved, interested, but it's a very fine line, because I think that is an issue with what's happening right now, is that there aren't a ton of people in the 18, 19, 20, 21 college-ish time that are coming in the game. I think that's sort of like the interesting part, the sort of part of the puzzle that's like, because at some point people start playing less. They get families. They're not, the grinders aren't grinding as much. So I think that's like the ecosystem. You got to really have that come in. I think that's something that is it's gonna be interesting to see what happens, because it's definitely drop off a lot.
Yeah, well, I think like what's really interesting is, since the media has changed, right? It's not TV shows anymore. It's sort of self-made stuff that is going to sell it a lot to the new generation. We don't have very many of the top 50 in the world. I don't think we would have any of the top 50 tournament players in the world that are willing to be ambassadors on their own platforms, right? Like we don't see one of the top 50 tournament players in the world streaming consistently on Twitch, like no one stepped up to that role to be like, all right, I'll be a figurehead for this dream of being one of the best in the game. There's all of us that are working hard and making progress. Someone that comes to mind is actually All in Pav, who's absolutely smashing. He's up like so much money in the past 2 years, crushing the game, getting better all the time. He's someone that's stepping up. But we haven't seen that Daniel Negreanu hybrid of like, all right, I'm legitimately one of the very best in the game, and I'm also sociable, and I'm willing to share it with people. We don't have that right now, I think, like Lex and Pav, like I'm not taking away from anything from anyone, right? Like Kevin, been on an absolute live poker heater, crushing it. But we need more of the elite, the super high rollers interested in actually helping. And I don't know if we're going to find that, man. I just don't know if people are interested. But for now, all we can do is do our part, as like good players. You're a great player. I'm a good player trying to become great and trying to become elite one day. Just do our part to share the journey.
I do want to touch on that point, because it's true. I mean, look, we both use Raise Your Edge. We both are actively working on our games, but it is very difficult, because I think that's something unique, is like I was mentioning a little bit, like I'm a bit of a hybrid where I have a background in live poker and I've been playing a long time, but it's hard to do. I mean, that was one of my other questions, like Jamie, I'm going to go over here to the scroll across, like how do I was going to say, how do you keep up with, you obviously have help, but like here you have a Poker Staples and a Jaime Staples YouTube. You have a Poker Staples and a Jaime Staples Twitter. You have a Poker Staples Twitch, as well as what?
No Twitter.
But you have so you have a Jaime Staples Twitter. You have a double YouTube channel, and then you have a double. Now you have a 247 channel set up here as well for Twitch. That I have one as well. Jeff Gross Poker 24/7. You have Poker Staples 247. So you have like highlights and past broadcast there. You have the Instagram as well, double channel, Jaime Staples, Poker Staples. It's hard to have all of that running like a machine, and then also find time. I want to touch on B-Car as well. Congrats on being engaged. That's amazing. B-Car, phenomenal companion. So that's amazing. So like, it's like you have that. You have B-Car, who's that's your future wife, who you're engaged, potentially children, all that. You have content galore. You want to get better. You want to travel, enjoy. There's only so much time in the day. It's difficult. Like I can relate. Like I feel like in the last couple of years, part of my growth and development is stunted, and I think I've been trying to look at that, working with Elliot Rose, some other stuff too. It's like, what? I'm coming to WSOP events the last 2 summers. I'm starting at 4 p.m. a lot of days. I'm in there with 15, 20 blinds. like you can't, it's hard to do everything and do it well. So it's like at some point I feel like, and I don't know if you can relate to that, it's like, all right, do I want to spend 2 hours on Raise Your Edge today? Or do I want to stream? Or do I want to make sure this is like up, website? It's a lot to manage. Even having like Vadran, who I would say is the best in the game, or one, like a top guy involved with me. I know you have unbelievable people, Brando. You got guys helping you. You have a team. You have people helping. But still, you want to craft it your way. You want to make sure stuff's up. You got to check on stuff. You're engaging. You're putting up YouTube comments. I mean, I can't speak for you, but I know you engage, right? Like for myself, like you're going back, looking at comments. You're making sure people are staying up with it. It's a lot that goes into it. It's not just like post a highlight video, let it go. You have to come up with titles, descriptions. You got to make sure it's how you want it. All these things. It's hard to then find time to dive into the matrix of playing. It's just like there's only so much bandwidth, and I think that's like one of the things, like you said, it's kind of like you can either be the content machine and then sort of take a break and like just go into the matrix, but for having someone that's in the matrix of maybe the great, it's also some people just don't have it. Like they don't have the ability. Like they might be a wizard, sorcerer, player, but yeah, they don't have even if they wanted to. If they're like, you know what, I want to go into Twitch, because they would kill it, right? Like if you had like the top number 5, top 10 GPI players like decide to come in and start doing some content, like people you see when they grind you, or guys that come on Twitch, Doug Polk comes in who's crushed it at a high stakes level, and people come in, he gets big numbers and stuff, but like it's hard to find that personality that's like both. So I think that's like a unique, because it's like if you're great at one of the things, now you could take some time and sort of like you have a big opportunity to like do both, but it's so difficult because of factors. How do you feel about that? Because I mean, I'm sure you like it's hard to find. I would imagine for you to find the time to study and do all this stuff as well, because you have a social life, you have a personal life, you have content, you have this, and it's sort of like where do you put your time? How do you kind of tackle that?
Well, I mean, this is something that I know we've touched on in the past. At some point, it's like the economics just aren't there. Like I'll be frank with the audience. Like, does it make sense for me to study Raise Your Edge for an hour or to do something else? Like, I'm losing money studying Raise Your Edge. That's for sure. There's just more economics in creating this content. Now, that said, it needs to be a balance, like you said. Like, I need to strive to continue to get better and improve, but it is coming at a hit to myself and a pursuit of a passion to do that. So that's one of the weird parts about content creation is getting better at poker isn't actually where the money is coming from, even though that's important to your job. So that's weird. But yeah, I think it's difficult, Jeff. And I mean, this is sort of like a forward-thinking statement to our roles coming up in the future. You're already started. I start on May 4th. I think what you said is really important, right? It's hard for people to balance getting better at poker, streaming, creating content on the 5 other relevant platforms, getting enough rest, having a social life, like all these things to balance is hard. So one of my biggest frustrations in the past working with poker stars, and something I always tried to sell them on, and they didn't necessarily buy it all the way, was the value of streamers. The biggest value is their stream. That's the most valuable hour of time from a streamer, is allowing them to stream. And when they're not streaming, getting better at poker so their stream can be better. And when they're not getting better at poker, allowing them to relax or rest so that their stream and their studying is better. That, to me, is how you best utilize a streamer, right? And all this other stuff, which is very important, which we have to do ourselves right now, right? Which is outsource and manage people and like get it on YouTube and stuff. That should be something that companies take on and they help facilitate, because a lot of people can do that. Very limited amount of people can do streaming. So over the past 4 years, I've been trying to set up my own machine where I can be as hands-off as possible. I can have things happen for me, like my Poker Staples channel on YouTube. I'm very hands-off there. Like my editor, Jordan, he gets the video, he edits it together, he makes the highlight, the thumbnail, the description, he puts it out. I just read the comments, dude. I don't even give it a review. Like I just trust him at this point. So that channel runs on its own, basically.
Right. I see. I agree with you. I see Burnsy in the chat. JJ Corrado, also a streamer. Thanks for coming in. And Jay Nandez Poker, one of the PLO sourcers in there as well, has YouTube and Twitch. So good to see you. Thanks for checking in, man. Hope all is well. But yeah, that's the ultimate thing, right? It is like finding a way to make it into a time where you have time and effort to put to other things and not have to deal with. I think a great example is Bill in the Thirst Lounge 10. I remember the funny part about how this is all shaken out is you have to understand this. Like, I could see from an outside perspective how it looks like, oh, Bill's Thirst Lounge 10 sponsored by Party Poker. Jeff leaves, Stars goes to Party Poker. Jamie's leaving, going to Party Poker. Matt signs. It looks all kind of like it was like a premeditated crazy contortion. But the reality is, when we were in Reno, when was that? Late October? I don't even know the date. When was Run It Up Reno?
Yeah, I think it was October.
Might be October. It was later in the year. I mean, Bill, we started talking with Bill. We were there even pushing the idea to Stars. Like, we were talking about it, and Bill wanted one person, and he wanted to do like a 1 minute, like, Bill's just an idea guy. He gets hyped up, and like for a minute he's talking like, Jamie, why don't you come and do my channel? Or Matt, Matt was there as well. Why don't you come over and like run Thirst Lounge? Or Jeff, he was like, you could do it. And like Bill didn't really get, like, it's such a unique personality to Twitch. You need like, it's also, you can't just take someone that has like a very established channel, because they put their heart, their soul, their sweat, their tears into their channel that has grown to a point. So, Bill's coming from a perspective of, it's hard to find that right personality to do it. Also, how hard it is to really run a Twitch, because like, it's not just click live, like the OBS. Like, how many people have you had, Jamie, that are professionals or people are interested in Twitch? Like, I have people all the time send me a message, hey, I want to start Twitch. And I'm just like, all right, I have a list of things. Here's how to start. They're not on there now. I can tell you big names of like live players, some online guys, a mixture. Very few have even tried or dived in, because it is such a matrix of work, of a grind, and it really takes a unique individual to be able to execute it. I just want to say that, like, that's the thing. I think that's something that's overlooked, is it is a very intricate thing. I'm not saying don't try, don't do it, but like, if you're a well-established name in poker, it doesn't mean you're gonna be good at Twitch or be able to do it or want to do it in real. And then there's constraints of where you live. Throw the U.S. out of it makes it exponentially more difficult. How the consistency of it, all these different things. It's a very difficult thing. So I think I got sidetracked, and I just talking. But really, the thing is, like Thirst Lounge 10, even showing how hard it is, and how this was not like we were trying to explain to Bill how it's going to work, and realizing some of the hurdles there. But this was like not really. It was going to be one person. It became 10. We were not like, it wasn't like a funnel to push to Party Poker. Just kind of how it all happened. It all kind of went down very quickly for all of us. You touched on January. You thought you were re-signing with Stars. Like, this all kind of came up very quickly, and I think it was for the best. But I think it's very important to realize, like, streaming is difficult. And if you do want to start streaming, it's cool, try it, but just realize that it is not there's a lot of times where it doesn't go well, where you're not having a great stream, you're not running well, and you're just sitting there on the camera kind of eating it. So you really have to be able to take that in and understand that it's not all super fun. And there's a lot of days where you don't win on stream, you're not running well, and maybe you're tired, and there's just so much that goes into it. Like you said, rest, preparation, after the stream, giveaways, moderators, emails, checking this, making sure everything's humming. It's a full-blown production. And if we could have our way, it would be that, we just click live, study, spend time with our families, and don't do anything else. But that's not the case. There is a lot of extra work that goes into it.
Yeah, well, I think like looking forwards, that's something I really believe in. I feel like companies are missing the boat on trying to help with those services, help make that easier on the streamers so that they can be at their best. So, I don't start until May 4th, but Jeff, I anticipate we'll have a lot of discussions regarding how we can ease the load in the future for streamers so that they can do what they're great at.
Absolutely.
That's what we worry about. We both talk with streamers all the time. What are streamers' concerns? I mean, a lot of them want to get better at poker, most of them, and then most of them say they don't have the time. So it's like, well, we need to create the time.
Yep, that's the game right there. I agree with that. All right, I want to ask you. We had a little bit of a late start, but we've been going for a bit. I want to make sure we do have questions on Instagram. The swipe up guys, you can ask there. Also on Twitter, we'll go through. I think there's a handful of these, so I saw some good ones. We're gonna do a retweet as well. So let me kind of just get there and start teeing up a few of these so we can get that up. But then also I just want to ask you about this. Is one I like to ask. What do you think about poker being a zero-sum game? You know, like that's one of the things I think that well, I'll let you answer it. But what is when someone says to you, you know, that's like someone wins, someone loses, it's a zero-sum game. How do you answer that? Whether it's like your parents, friends, or you know, like that's typically something people ask me. Is like, how do you feel about like, you know, how do you give back in community or how charity, this and that? But like, how would you articulate that when someone says poker is a zero-sum game, like you're not giving anything back? How would you answer that?
Well, I think it's better than a lot of games, to be honest. Let's take golf, for example, right? You show up to the golf course, you buy $1,000 worth of equipment, you pay green fees of $100, and you may rent a cart, right? So you're going into a golf match and buy some golf balls, another $10. It's costing you, let's say, an average of about $180 a round per year to play, and you're always getting $0 back. Always. You're never getting any money back. So that's a negative sum game. So why is it that poker on its own can't stand as a game that's fun, a game that creates community and has all sorts of strategy things that you need to think about? And sometimes you actually win money in this game. Like, yeah, you can lose money, but if you go in with the expectation that you're going to have a great time, it's a good hobby, you enjoy it, that's fine. You should be allowed to lose money. So it's again, the perception issue of poker is a game that only exists to win money. There's nothing else to it. It's just gambling. And then golf exists purely as a recreational game that is fun to play, and you could spend all your money on it and no one would blink an eye. Poker is very much the same. You know, it can be a thing where it's fun, and I just try and explain that to people as like it's a hobby. It's a legitimate game that spending some money on isn't shameful or wrong. Yeah, that's the way it is.
That's wow, I'm just scrolling through actually some of these tweets. It's pretty crazy. I didn't realize this. Did you see this last night, Jamie, on Thirst Lounge? That Party and he chopped the thing, Drew and Party chopped the 10K guaranteed.
We lost you, I think.
Oh shit, really?
Looks like the stream is offline. Oh, it's back.
Are we back? Shit.
It's loading up. We're back. We're good.
Okay. I'm just gonna start answering. I like that answer. I think it's also it's true too. Let me see if this is working. It's true as well. Like I think from like a perspective, like a content creator side, it's kind of easy to answer that. Like it's one thing if you're just like grinding at 2-5 at your local casino or something. And not saying when I say just, I mean like even then it's like, all right, well, what are you doing with your free time? You're making a living, so maybe you don't have to grind a 9 to 5, and then you can donate to charity or you can spend time doing, you know. So like that's how I look at it. It's like, what are you doing with your time, and what is that allowing you to do if you're a professional? But from our standpoint, being on Twitch, content creators and being positive, I think it's kind of like, well, you could argue doing a fair amount because you have a lot of people that are engaging with you, and you are able to shape. Oh, in a way, you can kind of provide some context and put it in a positive light, a message you're sending, an overall message. So I think it's like you're saying about zero-sum game or not. It's like from our side, it's not quite as crazy, dude. This is crazy. Real quick, did you see this? That Drew and Party chopped the 10K guarantee on Party yesterday?
I saw something about that.
That's pretty.
I am very high on the Thirst Lounge right now. I think they're doing good things, so I'm excited to see them develop. You know.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, cool. we're in there, man. We handpicked from the contestants, Jamie. We grabbed the guys and the team, and we'll see what's going on here.
I just sent my video guy down there. I mean, Brando left yesterday night. He's been living with us for like 5-6 months, creating vlogs. You know, the opportunity came up for a producer, and I was like, well, this is the perfect guy. He understands poker. He wants to be a producer. He makes really high quality work, and he would love the opportunity. And it's within your budget. So like, even though he's working for me and I'm enjoying it and getting a lot of value, like I need to put him forward because that's, you know, it's like, this is just his this is really what he wants. So I think it's a bad idea as a boss to like stand in the way of your employees' development and life, you know, like you should want the best for them. And I do for him. So he is probably flying from New York to Miami to the Virgin Islands right now. And that's going to be really exciting for them. I think they're going to make some awesome content with producer Brando on the go.
That's that is a huge huge move you did there, because I know Brando's been doing a ton of good stuff for you, so that's awesome, and that's going to be interesting to see. I think that's the one thing people are saying about Thirst Launch 10 too. It's like having a producer, having sort of some direction and stuff. That's like a lot of these guys. Again, you have to remember you're putting people into a scenario where really none of them have, a few of them, but almost none of them have Twitch experience. So it's sort of, you have to remember, it's like it's learning something brand new, so it takes a little bit of time. All right, Jamie, I'm gonna go through some questions here and just sort of rattle through. I see some familiar faces. We're gonna scroll through. We got the $20 retweet and some good questions in here as well. Someone's asking, does the YouTube content bring in enough to make it worthwhile for you? Maybe he's mentioning about, I think he's talking about, this is from Matthew, saying, I guess maybe revenue-wise, but maybe you could explain a little bit on how that works, because I know that's a question I get a lot as well. So.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make enough money to make it like immediately profitable per month, you know, so I have to pay my editor more than I get in return. But, you know, there's ways to monetize, right? So if like money was the big issue, like we needed money, you could do more videos with like affiliate links, right? Like I could make more videos about Raise Your Edge, which I think is great. And then I could encourage people to sign up, which I also think is a good idea. And then I would get more money coming in from that, from people signing up to the course. So there's ways to make money, but there's always ways to make money on all the platforms. So it comes down to like, what's your priorities? And right now, I personally have enough money to run the production I want, and I'm happy in life and comfortable. So what I want is people's trust and attention. You know, I want them to watch my stuff. So I really limit the amount of selling things or promoting things that I'm doing to try and build trust. But there's always an option to do that. If you want to make this big investment and you're a little bit short on cash, you can ramp it up a little bit to grow. So it's always a balance. Whenever you promote something, you're giving up a bit of your trust. And so you need to balance that so that the audience appreciates you, but it's worth your time.
All right, we're going on the Instagram live, swipe up some of the questions. Brian Glick asking, what made you want to become a poker player? I think you hit on this a bit earlier on the podcast, but how would you just sum that up quickly, some of the new people on here, and what made you initially want to do it?
It looks so cool, man. Like seeing the guys on Poker After Dark, like playing in this, I thought legitimately was high up in a hotel room, looking out over the strip. I'm sure it's just like a fake backdrop. I don't know. I've never been in the Bellagio, but I was just like, man, this is so cool. Like the money in Vegas, the girls, like, look at this lifestyle. This is amazing. Why can't I do that? And then of course you get into it and you realize, well, that's a bit of marketing. Like there is that, you're friends with Dan Blazarian, Bill Perkins, like it exists, but most of poker is not that. It's actually an intellectual pursuit of competing mind versus mind. But that was very appealing to a young 18-year-old that wanted to live his best life,
Yeah, I love that. So, all right, we're getting a lot of these questions here. Again, we covered this a bit, but maybe just a blanket statement on a question here from Nashi1232. Toby Nash asking, what influenced your decision to leave PokerStars and why PartyPoker? I don't know if you want to touch on that or maybe give a little context to that.
Yeah, just opportunity, dude. I mean, as I mentioned on Twitter, like there's a lot of people speculating that I wasn't happy or that I was taking a stand or something like that. I enjoyed my time with PokerStars. I like a lot of things they do. I also dislike a lot of things they do. But, I think that's natural with any company that you work with. You're not going to like everything that they do. But an opportunity came up to make a bigger impact, to do something bigger. And I was having a conversation with one of my bosses, about a month ago, and I sort of mentioned that like this is too linear of a trajectory, like I want to try and do something very impactful here. And I felt like I was in a position where I could collect my paycheck for several years and continue grinding, but I wasn't going to do anything big. And when Party Poker approached me, I had an opportunity to do something big and make big moves. And at that point, I just knew that was the right thing to do.
Absolutely. And what do you do after a hard poker session to relax and re-energize?
I don't really. I don't know. Like, I watch YouTube videos going to bed.
Yeah.
And then I'll like mess around on some mobile games going to bed. But yeah, I don't have like a post-session relax routine. It's never really off. That's the thing about, professional poker in general, but definitely content creation, is that you always have an opportunity to be working. So it's more just like work till exhaustion and then recover, as opposed to planned times off for me.
And I'm pulling up the Party Poker lobby today. You will be streaming as well today. Is that true? Later in the day, are you planning to stream today or no?
In a couple hours I'll be firing up.
What are any events today that stand out for you that I'm looking at? Right. What is today? Today's Saturday, so Sunday's
all the stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't start till May 4th officially, but even before I signed, I moved most of my volume over to Party, because I don't know. I think there's some good tournaments and like it overlays a lot, and the rake back is better too. So yeah, I'll play like 320 Gladiator. I like all the stuff.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. The Gladiator's a nice one. So many good questions here. So someone says, besides the fame and money that is what every poker player pursues. I mean, again, I don't know about speaking in absolutes. Of course, money, you want to make a living if you're going to be a professional. And in terms of fame, again, I don't know if that's everyone's really pursuing necessarily, but just the question as worded, besides fame and money that every poker player pursues, what is your fundamental objective that you proposed when starting this activity? So I guess what is what your mission with poker? What is the reason you chose poker? I guess from a blank as a whole.
When I got into it, it was fame and money.
All right, so my man might be on. I was
18. I was 18. I mean, when I got into it, I wanted to be validated, and I wanted to be rich, right? But things change and you grow, and those things are a little bit shallower once you can taste them. I'm sure you can talk about that, right? Like when you earn money, it's different than what you think it is, and that's different thresholds for everyone. First time I had 100K, it was a different feeling than I thought it was going to be. And then when you have some attention, it's different than what you think as well. So I'd say now my pursuits are a little bit more wholesome. I really would like to contribute to poker being a more positive environment, and it contribute to the perception of poker, the general population being different than what it is now, because it's such a shame, such a beautiful game has a very negative connotation to a lot of the world. So that is the overarching goal behind my actions. Of course, I want to be financially successful, and I want to be validated in what I'm doing is good and people to appreciate it. But that's sort of the overall mission statement of what I'd like to do with my poker career.
That's awesome. What was the most difficult part in the process of improving the quality of poker? Trying to understand that question is a little bit worded trick, a little bit. What was the most difficult part in the process of improving the quality of poker? I guess I would take that as what's the hardest thing about making the poker come to a better light? I think that's sort of maybe how I would read that. What's been frustrating or what's been tough? We're talking about negative connotations, trying to promote the game in a positive light, all that. What would you say has been a frustration or a difficult part for that to happen? Because obviously you go on Twitch, on YouTube, very upbeat, very positive, showing the game, progressing, taking bad beats or unlucky, dealing with that in a way. How would you say that, or even running good, being humble? What are some of the ways that maybe have been a little more difficult than you thought? When you said, "Oh, I'm gonna put poker in a positive light. It's gonna be great." Maybe how has it been frustrating or harder than you thought that could be to do?
Well, I think we exist in a bubble, and I think a lot of people underestimate how pervasive the poker bubble is. Excuse me. The way that people talk to each other on Twitter, for example, in the poker world, is very different than the way the rest of the world uses Twitter. But we just assume it as normal. And forums and talk amongst each other, and even on Discord and stuff, it's very enclosed. So what I think is going to be very hard is coming up with content, coming up with interesting, engaging things to watch or listen to or read that we can put in places where people are going to see it outside the bubble. So like, how are we going to engage 50-year-old women, from Germany to play poker? It's like, well, we need to make some content that appeals to that market. And that's really hard. We know how to make poker content for poker players, but how do we make it for people that aren't in our circle? That's the toughest part.
Yeah, I like that. Makes a lot of sense, and I agree. Which country do you like the best? Where's the most beautiful place in the world? I would go ahead and say that as a poker player, having freedom, being able to travel, you've already mentioned during that bet alone, you were in 5 or 6 different countries. So I think that's one of the clear benefits of being a professional poker player and doing this, being able to travel if you have the opportunity, which is, I know you do. So which have you liked the best, and where's the most beautiful place in the world, in your opinion, I guess, that you've seen?
I would say beautiful place in the world, it would be a tie between the Virgin Islands, which are truly remarkable, and Split, Croatia. There's like Marjan Hill. It was just absolutely a beautiful park, massive park on the side of Split, Croatia, and just looking over the Mediterranean, or it might be Adriatic Sea. I don't know what it is, but it's nice and bright and blue, and there's boats, and you're on this big hill in a wilderness right beside a big city. Absolutely incredible. So I would say those two places, like where we had our Streamboat 2 house, was going to be the most insane month ever, and it got cut short.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe it looks like that. I just saw it. Looks like there's a chance we may be down in that vicinity or getting to run that back at some point, or some variation of that, hopefully. But that place has been devastated. The Virgin Islands just kind of getting back on their feet, and already seeing down there with some internet issues with Bill and whatnot right now down in that area. So that's kind of the next phase. Hopefully we get to do that again. Let's see. Congrats, delay of news. There's some other, a lot of questions. Are you going to IRL the wedding? Yeah, is there a wedding date, Jamie? B-Car and you got engaged. Very exciting. Yeah. Congrats again. Is there? Will you IRL the wedding? That's. I think that's actually a realistic question.
I mean, I'm thinking about it. I'd like to. I wouldn't do a production, obviously, but if I could put up just a camera where people could see it, I'd be totally in for that. Like Twitch community has changed my life, so I don't mind throwing up a little live feed of us walking down the aisle and saying the vows. That would be fine with me. I don't know if it'll happen though. Like, it's not high on the priority list. We're hoping to do it next August, so about a year in like 4 or 5 months or so. We got to find a venue, and I don't know how any of this works. It's going to have to be a destination wedding. I mean, we're talking 2 different countries here, right? So probably Italy or France or Spain, some sort of vineyard, and we got to find one we can book. So I don't know. Like, you have any advice, Chef? I don't know what to do.
Well, I'll just say something that I had. So for my wedding, we had a very interesting situation. Amelia's from Brazil, and grandparents, very elderly, in the late 90s. We ended up doing it around Christmas time in Brazil, and I wouldn't be a good person to ask for advice because we kind of went the other direction, and we just it was very awkward because I had an option to either do. It was one of those things, like, I love Brazil. I love going to my wife's hometown, right? Like, I love it, but it's like a farm area. No internet really, and like limited, and to have people come on holiday to go to Brazil to take a flight to, let's just call it Rio or Sao Paulo, and then to another airport to drive 50 minutes from the second flight, small thing, and there's really no big hotels in the city. And the moral of the story is we decided not to. I didn't want to bring out all of my network of just friends and people to come there, and it's like, oh, it's your wedding, and says that, but no, listen, trust me, you guys. You didn't want to come here during holiday. Anyway, so I didn't do a big wedding thing. We just did a very small family thing, and then sort of just celebrating, doing like personal stuff with friends when we'd see them. So I don't have great advice on weddings. It's kind of weird because I love people parties, and actually was always like, oh, I'll have a big wedding one day, and I just basically didn't have a wedding to sort of tell you that, which I don't regret at all. Totally fine. Like, I have a lot of parties and celebrations, but it was the moral story is I'm not your guy. to give you a wedding planning advice. So we opted on it's kind of a lose, like you can't really win in that spot because it's either like, oh, how did you not have a wedding? But then it's like, well, if I did, we might lose some friendships over. Like I'd be tilted if I got sent out to like the middle of nowhere in Brazil for a few days during Christmas time with like, you got to remember kids, that people have family, they got kids, they're giving up their Christmas. So anyway, that's don't come to me on that. I went the opposite direction there. All right. Anyone else? Let's see. We have there's so many good questions, Jamie. I feel like we've covered a lot, and we are going to run this back. We'll have another podcast. Jamie's definitely going to be a multi-podcast guest on the show.
Dude, we're going to talk after May 4th when I'm officially signed.
Yeah, we can kind of unlock and blow off the doors, right? Like we can really dive in.
Our thoughts.
Yeah, on what the whole industry. And again, we don't want to sit here and I'm not trying to bash stars or anything because again, it was more of like I think that's a good way to word that. It was more about an opportunity. And I think also like you see like linear, whereas where Party was ready to take some chances to do some cool stuff. It's a little less corporate feel there. Set some ideas. They really just kind of give you a yes or no. And I've been in there now for a couple of weeks and getting to dive in. So it's been a fun experience, and we'll talk more about that. But it's a very exciting time for poker, and I think that everyone's going to see, like, again, big guarantees, big risks, big live stuff. I know Party's just always looking to push the envelope, and you can see that in some of the overlays in the tournaments, live, online, just willingness to take chances. And now that the software is vastly improved, updated, new schedule, a lot of fast changes, it's a fun time to be there and to check it out. I'm going to say, I think, we've covered a lot, and that would be, I'm just double checking. I think we got most of it. I don't know if you have the Twitter up. We'll do the retweet giveaway. Let me just let Jamie count that down for us. And is there anything else you want to say out there, Jamie? Is there anything that you want to touch on that you're excited about coming up? I guess you're going to be in Berlin. Is that correct? Coming up here?
Yeah, we're moving to Berlin. My brother Matt and Chris are coming along as well. So it's going to be Rebecca, Matt, Chris, and I, which is kind of a reunion of Malta and a bit of Costa Rica. We have Lex and Mirta along with us there, and Kristen. But yeah, it's a reunion. We're going for 2.5 months. Very excited about it. They're going to fly in on Monday, actually. We're going to Drake Monday night. So lots of fun things happening, man. Excited to meet up with them again and make some awesome content in Berlin.
And how long will you be there?
2.5 months.
2.5 months in Berlin. I've been there only for about a week. I went to the WSOP in 2015, had a really good time. Did not get to see as much as I would have liked to see there. So I'm a little jealous, and I got the baby coming, or else I would be couch crashing coming in and checking that out. Hopefully, hopefully we'll do another stream house or stream boat in the near future. Very excited about the Party Poker news. That is very, very exciting. I can't wait to be alongside and being able to partner up in project and go deep into that starting in May with you. And I know I'll be there. And someone's asking me, did I sign with Party as well? Just tuning in. What's up, Calvin? Yes, I did. Matt Staples as well. All in Pav. Hot at 89. I mean, the list goes on. We could. You announced. I don't know if you're on the. I guess so, Jamie. Just to clarify. I'm just going to go to Party Poker's website. You're not.
May 4th.
May 4th is Jamie's technical. That's when he's going to be diving in. So, I mean, I can look here. They got the Monster Series come up. Some fun stuff, man. We'll be checking. Yeah, look at this team right there. So it's a strong team, and we'll be talking more again. We'll do it. Jamie's a multi, at least 2. Who knows how many times on the podcast, guys. We're going to run through real quick here and show Jamie's socials. So again, Poker Staples. Let's just get this right, Jamie, because I don't want to get this wrong. We have Poker Staples.
I can run it through.
I'm gonna go across the board. Start with YouTube.
We got Poker Staples for poker stuff. We got Jaime Staples for lifestyle stuff.
Okay, now I'm gonna go over to Twitter.
We just got Jaime Staples on Twitter.
But a strong Twitter game, very active. A lot of tweets, a lot of hype. So that don't sell yourself short with the gist. Right. Let's go to Twitch.
Okay. Twitch, all right. Poker Staples, that's my main spot. I'll be on there later today in a few hours, streaming some tournaments. So excited about that. And then when I'm offline, I have like a 24/7 channel as well, which you can see there.
Okay, and then we're gonna take it over to Instagram.
You're really giving us the full.
We're going full. I want to show
all
people.
Right.
I want to let them know, like, this isn't a hobby. This is like a real. Yeah. This is a thing. So
I have Jaime Staples Instagram, which showcases like just photos and videos from life. And then I have a Poker Staples Instagram, which takes interesting poker hands from throughout the day, throughout the streams, and puts them there. So that's it for the poker one.
It's not it. It's two. You got two Instagrams. You have you got twos and ones across the board. Snapchat, not as much love on
Facebook
right now.
Facebook page we're rolling with.
Oh, Facebook page as well. I didn't pull that one up, but that's there. Facebook, Instagram, Facebook, they're kind of aligned, but yeah, I get it. I got one as well, and that's good. It's good to have options, like you said. Some people don't. They just like Facebook. That's their demographic.
You gotta go to the people.
Gary Vee said it best. All right, we have a retweet right now. So I did copy this. Looks like 56 people, almost a 2% chance of winning the 20 bones. Plus, we got some good questions answered. So I already copied that. We're going to take one more look at the questions. I'm going to plug that in. So, Jamie, I'm going to let you count that down in a second. And, oh, wow, JJ Corrado, man. Look at this. Just dropping gear, dropping questions. And let's see if we get one more. Man, there's a lot. I say this is the most questions we've had on the podcast thus far. I'm going to take one more on Instagram to swipe up there. We got the 34 watching live, pretty strong. Going to be on the replay, guys. Of course, you can follow along Jeff Gross Podcast and watch any of the podcasts that are just parked there. Jamie, what do you think about the Twitch podcast? I didn't really think about it. Do people do multi-live at once, or you kind of choose one or the other?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
You can do multi one. I still haven't got on iTunes or any of that stuff, so I'm kind of just learning.
Benjamin is cursing me out right now, like no.
Yeah, no, right? That's tough, man. 20 bones. Let's go. All right, we're gonna do it. We're gonna. Someone's asking about Reno. Elise is asking. I won't be there. My baby is due right around that time. Jamie, we've done the Renos before. Will you be going to run it up Reno?
Not gonna make it to this one. I'll be living in Berlin, so not gonna make the long flight, but okay. Nothing to say but good things for those guys. I mean, wishing them the best of luck in the future. I'm not with Run It Up anymore, but everyone's a fan of Jay Carr. Nothing bad to say. I know he'll continue to crush it. So
yeah, same thing here. I have got some gear up on the site and maybe some commentary with them in the future, but we'll be that's just going to be a very friendly relationship. Maybe some synergies there, but also just gonna. It won't be officially on the team, but we'll be, popping in, maybe coming in, still some live events and stuff. It's not like anything negative on Run It Up. Got a lot of love for those guys and what Jason has done, being the godfather of Twitch, no question about it. All right, so we're kind of...
How many am I counting down from here, Jeff? Are we going 10? Are we going 5?
I mean, that's the beautiful thing about the competition agency. You are in control. We have it loaded up, and you get to count. I mean, I'm giving people a last kind of second here to come.
I'm dropping at 10.
You're going 10? You want to get it? You're going to pop it right now. Let's see. We got 57. So a couple people have snuck. All right, countdown. Guys, if you got the tweet, it's not too late. All right, things are happening. Jamie's counting us down. We're going to roll it for a 20 spot.
7. You got to hurry up, guys.
Guys, get it in.
You have 6 very long seconds
6
left.
seconds. He's counting it in. We got it right here, 57. Let's see if we can get it to 60. A few more people sneaking in. Now. 5. Wait, we're almost home, boys and girls. Next time
4.
we'll be... Oh, JJ Carrata in the building. David Aru. Thank you, Jay Nandes, for coming in as well. Matt Burnsy, Sheffield 16. 3 seconds left. Get it out. Can we sneak in another person on the retweet? 2 seconds. Nope, 57.
I want you to do it on 0, Jeff.
All right.
I want you to do it on 0. So 1 is not the thing, right?
Okay.
Don't click it yet.
I won't click it.
I'm saying it now. 1.
All right. We're at 1. And this is about to be someone $20.
Last chance.
Last second
click
coming from Jamie.
Come on. I'll give you a few.
A few seconds. All right, we're parked at 57. I think this might be it, but we're gonna give you guys a last second, and we're gonna fire it off when Jamie hits that magic word. Boom.
Game time.
Boom. Someone won it. It is his name's Jamie. Of course, his name not Jaime, but Jamie. Jamie's gonna win a 20 spot. Jaime. That just seems right, and he's got some good energy, and he's got a casino in the picture. $20.
Is it? Okay.
$20 coming your way. Are we even on the right screen? Hopefully. Oh, I want to tell you, listen to this. So do you know this guy? I've been doing this sports card collection, Otia. Have you heard of this? Otia Sports, this guy, Jason Kuhn. Not Kuhn, Kuntz. The guy won $1.2 million in the Bahamas. Do you know this story?
No.
Really?
Don't know.
That's the guy. He came down. He owns Otia, this sport like memorabilia, like sports card. Yeah,
you
probably caught
it.
He was on Stake Kings, posted action. People were buying because they thought it was Kuhn, not Kuntz. He never plays any tournaments. And he won $1.3 million or whatever. So pretty epic. But anyway, he was giving away some sports cards the other day on the show, and I had Brian Glick, who's a big supporter. The giveaway was 25 Michael Jordan cards. Okay,
Right.
Fun giveaway. Brian Glick's name is bglick23 from Chicago. I have him do the countdown. Okay, can't make this shit up. Burnsy23 was sleeping somehow because he's usually giving us love in the chat, but he was the only other 2-3 ending that I know of. Wasn't there. And then he clicks the giveaway, and the only other guy with a 2-3 at the end of his name wins the giveaway. There's a clip of it. It goes bglick23 for 25 MJ cards giveaway into a Pappy Van Winkle 23 winner. And then they ended up both getting 25 cards each. He just gave it to him. But I mean, you want to talk about energy, clear intention, positive? Like, how is that possible? Michael Jordan giveaway, 23 at the end of the name wins and directs it. I don't know the odds. It's low. That's like a 1-2 trifecta in a 50 horse race. Who knows? There's 220 people on for the giveaway at the time. Like, went bam, bam. I don't know, James. What do you think? That's weird.
Special.
And like you just shipped it to a guy named Jamie. It's close. It's not Jai, but Jamie, and he's got a 20 spot. And I will say, guys, if you don't follow Jamie, we just ran through all of the socials. Check him out. This is one of my legitimate brothers in the game and off the felt. We've done a lot together, and we're just getting going. We're going to be doing a ton of projects, ton of exciting things, and be able to do a run it back in early May when Jamie's officially, dialed in on board, and we can really dive into some of the things that's going to be happening on a bigger level, which we haven't got there yet because it's not the 4th. May 4th, the 4th, may the force be with you. I've seen some jokes. There you go. Might as well.
I mean, I'm not actually a Star Wars fan. It's just I had booked a vacation for Rebecca. I gave it as a Christmas gift until the 3rd of May. So when I was like, well, guys, don't announce me when I'm on vacation. Like,
that's not a good precedent to set.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah. So May the 4th it is.
I love it. All right, man. Well, Jamie, thank you so much. This has been a blast. One of the more energetic content creators you'll ever see. He does it all the channels, all the boards. And Jamie, we'll be seeing you hopefully very soon. I know Berlin is going to be where you're at, so we'll make it work, and we'll be very active. We'll be sweating you on your stream later today. Make sure to check him out, guys, on Twitch. It is Poker Staples on Twitch. He will be live today, and we will be tuning in with Jamie and doing some collaborative stuff in the near future. As always, Jamie, thank you for the time, and we will we'll be watching closely. So thank you.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. Thanks everyone for tuning in and checking it out on the replay as well. It was fun. We'll do it again in a few months.
We will. Thank you, Jamie. Say hi to B-Car. Have fun. Get the wedding plans in order, and we'll see you very soon.
Okay.
Peace.